Welcome back to the Apprentice 1-to-1 podcast. It's me again hosting this one with Jamie. Craig can't make it. He's busy. He's got a lot going on at the minute in his world of work. He's just started his new job. He's still doing some training as well, and he's just a bit hectic. So you'll have to make do with us. We've been joined today by Mike. So Mike Mason. How are you, Mike?
I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks very much for coming on to have a chat with us. We'll get into the nuts and bolts of what your training looks like and such. It's really nice. Lots of people actually have done the same as you and got in touch and asked to come on and chat. And we're going to go around as many people as we can and get all of your different experiences out there to get a general feel for what training towards being an electrician looks like. And I know you've got an interesting angle on it, same as everybody else as well. So we'll get into that. How are you, Jamie?
Mate, I'm struggling with my lighting here. Then I realised it's the morning, isn't it? We're recording this in the morning and I look shit. So, yeah.
Oh, God, everyone can see you in daylight now. They'll all be turning the YouTube on and hitting the podcast up on audio.
We're not doing it this time again, I tell you.
How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. Thank you very much. Just about to go on holiday. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised to see you at home. We were just saying off camera, Jamie was going to be away camping, but we was going to record this evening, and luckily we've caught him before he enters the middle of nowhere on a terrible 3G signal. So we get him in 4K again. So, Mike, before we get into what you're actually up to on your training, what's your background? You know, what have you started out life as? Because you're on a retraining journey now for those people who aren't aware. Mike's retraining to be an electrician. How did you start your working life?
So I started off working as a body repair and painter. Went to do that at college. College thing didn't really work out, so I got working in a garage doing that sort of thing. Spent a couple of years doing that. And then when I left that company, I struggled to find somewhere else to do that. Kind of got stuck in a stopgap of working in what I do now, which is it's construction security. Usually banksman, gateman, that sort of things, but I end up doing a bit of everything. One goes.
So I guess in that environment, you're quite familiar with what goes on a building site. Is that what led you towards wanting to be an electrician, seeing bits and pieces of what was going on?
Yeah, so I wanted to get into a trade, but I wasn't really in a position to do so. I kind of got stuck in a rut and wasn't really going to be able to take that big pay cut to retrain. And it was a case of I was looking at doing a trade, looking at different things, joinery, electrical, not really plumbing, not really my thing. And then Jesus. I got chatting to a load of sparks on site and a load of joiners, and I kind of drifted towards the electrical side of things. Had some really good sparks around me, and I just decided to jump in, start the journey.
Yeah, that's often how it goes. It's the environment you're in that leads you towards it. And if you've had experience and knocked around some decent sparks, I'm sure they pointed you in the right direction. You never want to be a wood muncher.
So no previous skills then, Mike? What did you say? You worked in the garage, but you weren't a mechanic, right? Was you? No previous trade skills then?
No previous trade skills, just on the tools. There's a body repair and painter, so it's not really.
Yeah, not like.
Yeah, it's not.
Which is good. There's good money in that, though, isn't there? What made you decide to not carry on with that out of interest? Because that's not bad money, is it? Or is it the fact that you've got to work for a firm doing that?
So when I worked for the company that I'd originally worked for, it was a really small backstreet garage, and they really chucked me in at the deep end, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I'd love the work, but the garage wasn't really. You was never really going to go anywhere in that garage, and I got given an opportunity to jump ship and go somewhere else, and that didn't work out. I spent 6 months somewhere else, and then after that, couldn't go back to where I was. But 2 years and no qualifications meant I couldn't.
Did you burn that bridge? Did you burn that bridge proper?
So I burnt the bridge before I left. The boss wasn't the greatest, and as you can imagine, like 30 years in the trade, backstreet garage. Didn't take anybody, and I was just a young kid.
The thing is, mate, you've got to do that. You've got to be willing to go in. Yeah, I say to a lot of people, if you're not willing to jump, then you'll never get anywhere in life. You'll just end up at, I don't know. My mate used to work at a chicken factory, and he said, I'm on good money when he was 16, and then by the time he was 21, he realised he was working in a chicken factory packing dead chickens, and he weren't on good money anymore. So if you never be afraid to jump, I say to people, because otherwise you'll never know, will you?
Well, that's the thing that kind of got me stuck where I'm at now. Like I said, I've been with this company nearly 10 years, but my wage has never really gone up. And the only reason my wage is a decent level is because I put a lot of hours in. I mentioned I do probably 60 to 70 hours a week as it is.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I think you're the ideal retrainer. I see. I might have put a lot of people off there. You're the ideal retrainer because you are upskilling, aren't you? But a lot of times I've had a plethora of like hardcore backroom IT people. I'm not thinking, you're mad money. You retrained to be a sparker. You're going to put some fucking loft. You are obviously, good one, fair one. But how are you finding that then? How you find it? Because obviously the money situation, because a lot of people would be interested in that, I think.
So at the minute, I'm not too bad because obviously I'm still working in that. But when I do actually jump ship, the drop in income is going to be pretty dramatic because average working week as a spark's 37.5 hours max.
Oh, so, Jesus, calm down.
Doing overtime already.
Doing a weekend, are you?
They just lie about their hours. But I'm looking more to do site-based stuff as opposed to being a domestic spark. So
yeah. So you're currently on, or you've done the level 2 2365. I think from speaking to you before. Have you been doing that through the day? I know you're working nights from what we've discussed offline. How does that actually work for you? Are you in college a couple of days a week? Are you doing it on a block release? How does that look like for you?
So when I first started off, I was working day shifts, doing 12-hour day shifts. So I was doing the evenings, one evening a week. And then after probably about 5-6 months, they put us on 2 evenings a week. And then I changed on to doing nights, and I just had to book my shifts around that. Ended up working every weekend for 6 months. But it's one of them, if you want it enough, it's worthwhile.
Yeah, I think you'll get on, mate, because I've just tried to record something for YouTube today about people coming to this trade. I've seen a bit of this on YouTube this week. People don't want to graft. And I'm not saying, I love supporting apprentices and training stuff like that, but I'm not saying that every apprentice is not a bumhole. And there are a few people coming around I've seen where they've offered people, like, I'm desperate to be a sparker, I want to be a sparker. Oh, I really want this and that and the other. And then they give them a job that lasts about 3 days. And I think you won't have that problem because you'll be off in your hours, won't you, straight away, although you might be on a bit less money, but you won't be doing as much graft. But how did you find out about stuff and what are you expecting? Because I'm dead keen to see this. What have you been sold? What's the dream for you?
So I didn't get sold a dream. At the time when I was looking into it, there wasn't a whole lot of information apart from doing apprenticeship and you'll be fully qualified. So I kind of spoke to a college that had an entry-level course, level 2. Didn't get any information off them. I knew it was going to be a gateway into the industry, basic skills, and something to put on a CV that says I haven't just worked as a security guard for 10 years.
Yeah.
And then when I actually got to college, I think partway through my course, did the ECA put out a thing saying that you had to do your MVQ3 and your AM2 to be a spark.
So that's a new thing-ish.
And then the college just went quiet. So kind of up in the air as to where I'm going in September. I know I'm going to try and get onto a level 3 diploma course. I'm a little bit too old for an apprenticeship, so I can't see that happening. So probably jump onto level 3.
Are you in an FE college, Mike, or are you in a private training centre?
FE college. Yeah. Okay. Apparently one of the largest in my area, allegedly.
Oh, okay. How have you found that? What's your experience of that college like? Is it decent? Because I get all kinds of stories coming into Apprentice 1-to-1 from people in places all over the country, and to say it's 50-50 in terms of quality would be exaggerating. Unfortunately, it seems to be the majority that aren't especially good. So, what's your experience of the college?
So the college itself, everything about it says that it should be a fantastic college. But what I found out quite quickly is when we started the course, it was supposed to be 2 evenings. And as I alluded to earlier, it was 1 evening a week and it was 2 groups all in one big Teams meeting. And that first probably 5-6 months was terrible. absolutely terrible. Just death by PowerPoint. I found out after a few months that the college actually brought everybody back in after lockdown, and they just left us still on Teams. And then when we actually got to a point where we could get in, turns out the reason they'd waited so long is they didn't have a workspace for us to do our practical in. They're in the process of building where we were going to be, and they just not put anything in place. So they ended up sticking us in a bit of a unit, chuck some booths up in a unit, and we ended up starting there and moving after like 2 months or something into the main building. But yeah, it were a rough summer.
Anyone that follows me will know I hate the state of education at the minute. I hate the academy system. It's just a business. Education should be a business. And unfortunately, they get paid a certain amount. And I got knocked off my perch a few years ago. I went back to a college. I don't know if I'll name them. I'll see how angry I get in this conversation. I went back to the college as a lecturer where I trained. And I'm from Nottingham. I'm going to be careful here. I'm from Nottingham. And they're to transport us to a town that's about 30 miles away because at that time, I will name these, JTL were brilliant. They're a really good provider. And they bussed us to that college because that was the superior college in the Midlands. And it was good. The blokes there were good. They'd not been long off the tools. They were still on the tools. You respected them. You knew what they was on about. They could talk the talk and walk the walk. And by the time I got there, it was just a shit show. And I was so disappointed. It was Loughborough. I don't mind saying it. I got sacked as well for full disclosure. But I was so disappointed at the state of the training. And I left training because I'd always want to go back training. And to go back where I trained was like a big one for me. And when I got back there, I was like, this is fucking amazing. I've completed the circle. I remember putting a LinkedIn post on about it and how happy I was to be there. And after 2 weeks, I was like, they're just producing garbage here. And I'm sorry the lads that work there, some good lads that work there, but not the lads that were doing the training, but the management of it was like bums on seats. We don't give a shit. Bums on seats. Someone's kicking off, causing grief. Keep them in there because we get the money for them. And that's nothing. I'm not slagging off the electrical department because someone I'm bound to tell them, but the actual management of it, dog shit. And if I never get to work there again, I'm not bothered because I'd rather say a bit about it. But then I've been to private colleges and they were all right. They were better because they've got to provide that service. And unfortunately, I've said to Mark, they've done a text. I've just noticed in the last year, I think training's going downhill. And I think we need to speak more about it. Because if we don't speak about it, then nothing will happen. And I've moved out of training now, so I think I can give my opinion on it. So yeah.
Anyway, I think the EAS document, which is what Mike alluded to earlier about the change in what you can enter a CPS as a qualified electrician, has certainly limited some of the courses a lot of these training providers are offering. It's probably affected their revenue. So we might start to see some of them slip away. Speaking about the actual payment of this, Mike, did you pay to go on this course, I assume?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I paid out of my own pocket. I was the only person out of my group that did.
Yeah, no, it must be really frustrating having forked out quite a substantial amount of money, I imagine, to then be left on Teams through most of your training with no resource to go and learning. You know, you want to be getting trained in the right way. This is why you're on this journey. And like you say, the apprenticeship route for somebody like yourself who has responsibilities and are a little bit older and you're not living at home with your mum and dad, it's not a viable option. I'm sure if you could have gone into a position where the wage was there to train as an apprentice, you know, it would have been a more attractive proposition. But we need to be real about this. And then we need to get in place an appropriate and suitable system for retraining. And you are on that path. And I guess you've had COVID throw a spanner in the works through some of that training. But it must be incredibly frustrating. I know it would boil my piss to have spent a lot of money on a
Mark's
course.
angry. If Mark's angry, we're all angry. All right.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If you're forking out a lot of money on your training and trying to better yourself, to then just be sat on Teams.
It's bollocks, that is.
Yeah, when the college is back open, you know.
A proper FE college providing shit like that. When, to be fair, Mike, if he's used his own money, he could have gone out, asked around, and he probably could have gone. Did you consider that private colleges would be worse, Mike? What was your thoughts there? Did you think, because this is an FE college, it's going to be a better environment? Because you're spending your own money. Yeah. What led you to go to an FE college?
Location was part of it.
Right.
It was somewhat close to where I was looking at the time. But the college seems to have a pretty good reputation. And it looked like I was just going to be able to start my journey there and just carry on through my journey with the same place. And they led me to believe that my level 3 I'd be able to get funded for. So I figured £2,000 for my level 2 and then get the other part funded or pay £6,000 for both of them. it kind of made sense. But
where are you? Because someone might watch this and think, "Oh, he looks like a good employee." Don't name the college if you don't feel comfortable with it. Whereabouts in the world are you? If someone wants to get in touch with you, Manchester. So there's plenty of private trainers around there that you could have used instead. With a good transport around Manchester, you could have gone somewhere else. And will you do that for level 3? Are you going to look around?
I'm on the fence, and that's why I'm going to keep stum about what college I'm at.
Yeah, that's fair enough, mate.
I do have to go back there. But yeah, I've spotted a couple of training providers. So if the college, if a FE college will allow me to get it funded, I'll probably go that route. But it depends what course they're running, whether they run a 2365 level 3 or a 8202. But yeah, there's a possibility I might end up going with the training provider as opposed to an FE college and just paying the money.
So even though you've had that bad experience, you're still considering, would you? You'd still consider carrying on there? Has it got better, or is that just a financial thing?
I think it's partly financial thing, partly down to you kind of get used to having to do those learning yourself without much input from a tutor. So it's probably going to be a similar kind of thing.
It makes me so mad hearing stuff like this. I've got to tell you, it makes me mad angry. Like, who said it, Mark? Who said the easiest way to do an apprenticeship is to do a proper one?
That was Andy Reeks from the JIB with a podcast I did with Neil. Yeah. He was saying the easiest way to qualify as an electrician is through a traditional apprenticeship. There is no shortcuts to that.
I've got to say now that, you know, all these colleges, every single fucking one of them just want the money for your bums on the seat. They run as a business. And if you think it's FE, I'm assuming they had loads of like snazzy pictures in the foyer of happy students stood around the quad and all that. It's just a business. Yeah. And I've got to say, I know there's going to be shysters in private as well, but it's easy to find out about these people. I've got to say to anyone watching this, think about doing it, is you've got to check the providers. You've got to check them out. And effectively, if that was me, I'd put me in the fucking small claims court for my money back. And I'm going to start getting louder about this because I'm sick of seeing bad trading people like you spending money and getting shat on, basically. And it just seems to be, I don't know, are we on the crisp of it now, Mark? What do you reckon? I'm not sure if we're on the way up or the way down at the minute.
Yeah, I think it's changing with the work TESP are doing, and it does seem to be improving. There's changes been made. I guess repeating the same thing relentlessly is the definition of stupidity, isn't it? So there is stuff that is happening. It is changing.
There's a lot going off at the minute, isn't there, with apprenticeships, MVQ3 and TESP and all that. So hopefully we're all seeing it getting better. Maybe this is the last breath of the crap colleges. I don't know, but it annoys me to see people like Mike who have spent how much, Mike? How much was it?
So the course was nearly £1,900, but with the amount of time I took off work, it's probably cost me double that.
If you'd have given me that money, and this is not even a joke, I think if you'd have given me £1,400, I would have sat on this Zoom with you now and explained the entire level course 2 course to you one-on-one.
This is a big problem.
I think it could make it pay. It's ridiculous.
So you're kind of at the difficult stage now as well, Mike, of stepping between that level 2 and level 3 when you are on your journey as a retrainee, because you've got to start looking at trying to find an employer, getting some site experience, building a portfolio. And there's a lot of people fall off the wagon at that stage, if you like. They're sold this dream early on by a training provider, and then they're not supported with work experience and getting some stuff. How are you approaching that? You know, what's your plan to tackle that as you move forward now?
So I was speaking to Jamie about this the other day. I've just applied and been approved for my first ECS card, labourer's card. So I do know somebody that's a M&E manager. He said to reach out once I've got that, and he's going to try and get me onto one of his sites or get me on with somebody who he knows. But that's the goal. Try and get onto the site, try and get experience up till September, and then obviously try and get on a level 3 course and start building the portfolio whilst I'm on site and take it from there.
Got to get it again, Mark. What's the end game? What's the end game? You've worked at the garage. You've got mechanical experience. Yeah, is that right? Using tools and all that. Is that what?
Somewhat, yeah.
What's the end game? What's the end game? Do you want to be a spark? Do you want to bash asses or put conduit in? What about maintenance and stuff like that and all these kind of jobs that are available that people are crying out for?
I kind of see myself doing more industrial commercial, maybe metal munching, containment work, that kind of stuff. I do see myself as a more site-based spark as opposed to house bashing and that sort of things. Climbing in lofts and pulling floorboards doesn't really
What about,
great.
I keep seeing retrainers with convertible skills going, I want to, like, there's a massive world of sparking out there, like printing presses. I used to work on printing presses at a factory. So I'd work on the printing presses, the electrical stuff and all the maintenance of the building. And it's a great back door in for someone like you because they are crying out for good people who will graft and they will train you. So like you're looking for site sparking, which is absolutely swimming with people trying to do it. But I bet if you look Google electrical maintenance in Manchester, I bet there are people crying out to work on, I don't know, machines that put the meat in Cornish pasties and printing presses and all sorts because they can't get people. They can't get people who come and graft and are willing to learn. And I've got to keep saying this. I said to, who was the guy on last time?
Ash. Forgotten his name now.
Big Ash.
Oh, Big Ash, was it?
Big Ash, yeah. It's like, you've got all this IT skill. What about programming code for machinery that's automated? You've got some mechanical experience. Like,
that job sounded perfect for him.
You're obsessed with
that job. People, perfect.
Yeah, but people getting obsessed with like electrical is not the electrical trade is not people putting lights and sockets and building. There's HV, there's controls, there's maintenance which covers like I don't know everything to do with the build, all the FM. That's a great way back in the door. Trying to get on site as a what's a proper electrician called? What? It's not a proper electrician. What's an electrician called? Like an installation electrician
they call it, don't they?
Like everyone wants to be an installation electrician. And the game's massive. And around Manchester, I bet there's 50 FM jobs on Indeed now. And if you go up there, go, I've got level 2, level 3, they'll be like, yeah, we'll give you starts. We've got 4 other sparkers here. And that's a good way in the back door. And I've got to start promoting more this fact that not everyone's an installation electrician. I'm not. I haven't been an installation electrician for 18 years. So yeah, I've got to start pushing this because everyone's obsessed with that little niche, and there's so much going off. And if people didn't just Google electrician on Indeed, if they looked at the other things that are available, they'd find there's loads of jobs where they're literally willing to take people in who aren't totally skilled and train them up. So have a look, mate. There's bound to be something. In fact, I'll have a look. I will have a look. I'm going to put a list of these names. I'm going to put a list of these other jobs you can look at that are the same kind of thing.
For sure. I mean, the industry's vast, isn't it? It's a multi-billion-pound industry. It's ginormous when you actually look into it. But getting your labourer's card is a good move because, you know, that's going to get you access to lots of different possibilities. Sam goes on about this a lot, taking self-responsibility for your own prospects. And you've done that. You've got your card. You've put yourself in a position to go out and get some work experience. And, you know, you've always got that option now where you can hit an agency up for a bit of weekend work or something to try and get some demonstration of your skills in your portfolio, so you're not slowing down your training. I can't emphasize that enough. Having a card to get on site and open that door. It's all about opening as many doors as you can to get some work experience is a powerful thing. So full credit to you, Mike, for making that happen.
Yeah. Just back to what Jamie was saying about the maintenance electrician. It's definitely something that I looked into. But I think for me, I didn't want to get stuck in that role because technically if you do your MVQ as a maintenance electrician, you get your MVQ as a maintenance electrician. So it's not really
You'd be surprised how much of the store you'll do. You'd be surprised. But if you get in the door, this is what people don't. I've done this. So if you get in the door as a maintenance electrician next to the go, oh, we need some stuff done in this room. We need some sockets and some data putting up. I'll do that. You've got a back door everything in this game. If you go to them and go, I want to get in doing this, they'll fuck you off all the time. In this game, you've got a back door everything. I'll get in somewhere, change your light fittings or fix the machine. Then when they've got a bit of install, I'll have a bash at that. And they're like, fucking hell, yeah, we ain't got to get an installation spark in, he'll do it. Everything's back door. And anyone that tries to go straight lines in this game, I want to be a controls engineer. And I slipped into it via another method that I'm not going to because it's a podcast on its own. But now I work as a controls engineer. But I didn't get straight in there, if you know what I mean. You've got to think outside the box and move around these corners. Also, a good maintenance engineer after 2 years, you can just move. You can move around. You're not forced to work anywhere. So I can't emphasize enough to people that in this game, it's a lot of the time it's chance and luck. And I bumped into some geezer in the Ulcers over there and he wanted something doing. And it's all that. And when I look back over my career, I don't know what Mark will say, but it's always been, someone knows someone that knows Jamie and he'll do that. All right. Oh, while you're here, one of the biggest jobs I ever had, I rewired an entire massive ink factory over 3 years while the factory was in there, upgrade it all. And I got that job because at the time I used to put Sky TV boxes in for people, when you had additional Sky box in your house. And my mate said, this guy wants a Sky box put in. went in on Saturday morning, went, oh, I've got some work at the factory. Do you do that? I says, yeah, that's my main job. And I was there for 3 years. And that's how it operates. So thinking, I don't want to be a maintenance electrician, it's just doors, mate. It's just rolling. And when you get to my age, people want to see you've been a maintenance electrician. People want to see you've been an install electrician. People want to see you've been on big jobs, and it all helps. I know I'm just an old man talking shit now, but that's how I see the trade. It's always about them back doors and things.
There's always ways you can get in. Go on, sorry, Mike.
Is that the sort of thing that you'd have to be self-employed or a lone trader to do that, or is that something? Because I know it sounds really weird, but like I quite enjoy being payee, like knowing that I'm going to get a set amount of hours and I'm going to be on set jobs and not bouncing from place to place to place constantly.
Mate, get off this podcast and Google maintenance jobs in Manchester and just see what happens, because I'm sure you'll get in somewhere. It's like you're doing your 70 hours a week now. Someone will lap you up. I'm telling you, they can't get no maintenance sparks or I don't do it myself, but I say on 2391 courses, people that want to get experience of testing, where's the best place to get experience of doing 2391 style testing where you really cut your teeth? Mark, do you know?
What, in terms of testing
They're
houses?
Desperate. They're fucking desperate all the time. Who is it?
It's all the PRS testing of late.
Social housing. If you do a 2391, go and do 6 months in social housing. They're desperate for 2391 sparkies, and you'll cut your teeth, and after 6 months, fuck it off, and you'll never get questioned again. You'll be like the go-to man because you'll get that much experience. But people don't want to do it. But that after your 2391, that's the best way to learn to test, because you'll just be testing every day. And it's
not the case when you're on those contracts, you've got to do 10 a day.
Well, just do it proper till you get sacked. You still get the experience paid for, don't you?
This is true. So what's your opinion, Mike, of the kind of the end game on this? When we're looking at AM2 and the MVQ and Gold Card, do you see value in that as someone who's coming into the industry? There's a lot of discussion in and around that at the minute that, it's just a bit of paper, it's a plastic card, it doesn't really mean anything. Is that something that you've had in your mind at all?
Yeah, it's been something I've always had in mind, if I'm honest with you. I don't see these people, unless they're just exclusively doing domestic, I don't get the people that get it in the head that you don't, why would you go through going all the way through and then not get that end point and get that card that says you've done all this, you've gone through all the stages and you've completed it, you've got to that end game. It seems like it's the right way to go.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's, even having the ability to apply for that card, if you are going to work in the domestic sector and you don't want it, that's fine, choose not to have it, but make sure you've got the qualifications to, at least if you ever need it or want it, you can apply for it and get it. So yeah, I am of the opinion that we need to put a bit more value into what AM2 means and what the ability to get a gold card means as a qualified electrician. I think there's too much putting down of that, and perhaps it's more people not liking the JIB, for example, rather than a dislike for the qualification.
Yeah, JIB's it does seem a bit ye old-fashioned. Seems like a old man's club. Like, it is just trying to find information.
But it's got its good points, hasn't it? I mean, I'll say, I've said I'm thinking to it this week, it is a bit old-fashioned now. It's getting a bit old-fashioned. But for someone like you, Mike, that's my opinion, because I'm never going to get a carriage clock out of a company. Whereas you say you want to be PAYE, you want that thing, and that's why I think it's a bit old man. But you might think this is great. I know what holidays I'm getting. I know what they're going to pay me. I know what my overtime rates are. And I felt comfortable doing that at one point. And as much as I do not a job and think they're a bit old, it is still a good system. And to be honest, it's the only fucking system we've got. So you've not got much choice in it, to be honest.
This is true. This is true. Have you got any tips for anyone, Mike, who's maybe on that 2365 journey now? There will be people watching this who are just starting out their level 2, for example. Any advice you'd give to them?
Just get used to the fact that you're going to do a lot of the learning yourself in your own time. Use the resources that are available. eFix, Gary Hayers, like those are the people that taught me the stuff that I needed to do for my practical, not my tutor in college. So if you're already planning for that, when you get in the position of being in college, if you're already expecting that you're not going to get as much information as you need, you're already on the way there learning yourself. Get an on-site guide. Like the first thing you do, get an on-site guide. Like the amount of people on my course that they were getting to their assessments nearly 10, 11 months in, they never even looped through that. And they got assessments based out of that book, and they've never even looked at one. Just use the resources available and try and plan your route moving forward. Like, I wish I'd have probably done a little bit of a job of that at the beginning. And yeah, I feel like my route's it's still quite established. Like, it's not something that's going to have me jumping around. The diploma route's still a good route. The only thing that they don't really tell you is you need to get on site and you need to get that experience on site, because having certificates for level 2 and level 3 doesn't prove anything. 6 to 12 months on site, a lot more useful.
Yeah, that's such a good point, and that's one that Craig made with the document he shared. I don't know if you saw that, Mike, but about when you're signing on to your 2365, they should be making clear that at the end of that, you're not considered an electrician. You need their portfolio afterwards and the level 3. And I think you're right. A lot of trainers maybe don't make that as clear as they should at the outset. So anybody who is watching this and you're expecting to just do your 2365 or your 8202 or whatever they call it, you need to make sure that you've got in place a method to get your NVQ and your AM2 sorted as well if you want to be an installation electrician, approved electrician, whatever we're going to call it. It's really important that you are aware of that, because there are trainers out there who won't make that clear, as sad as that is.
My college had no idea about what the next step would be for anybody on my course. So I'd say, like, I want to do level 3, 2, 3, 6, 5. Oh, well, that's not funded anymore, so we might not run that next year. I'm like, what do you mean you might not run it? It's still on your website for me to enroll on. Or it might be a different course. I don't know what people know about it, but 2365, it's multiple choice questions. And then for the level 3, all the science and principles stuff's handwritten in one paper. Whereas 8202, you'll do your practical, you'll do a couple of projects, but the bulk of it is one big written assessment at the end, fixed date, one resit. And for someone like me that struggles with my writing and things like that, like, I'm a little bit dyslexic. Something like that's terrifying. And the college can't even tell you what course you're going to be doing the next time. So yeah, try and plan your route. Definitely, that's something that training providers have definitely got going from, because they'll say, we'll put you on your level 2, straight onto level 3, straight onto your MVQ portfolio, just make sure you're in work. And like, that's something that big FE colleges are just missing out on. They just don't know. They don't even know how to get you an ECS card. Like, I had students coming to me asking me questions because they knew I was in the process of doing it. Yeah, it's a weird thing for colleges that their entire goal is to put you at that endpoint, not really knowing the way to get you there. They tend to be more focused on their apprentices and the new things, T-levels. They're big on T-levels at the minute. I think they got like 300 or 400,000 pounds.
More money.
Yeah. Big money. Tutors saying, look at all this fancy equipment that we've got for the T-levels. I'm like, yeah, have you seen the equipment that you've got us using? all these 16 to 19 years.
Education's a business. Yeah. It's just run by companies now, and it gets my nuts. So if education's run by companies, you may as well go to a company, because effectively a company, I'm not going to name any names of companies because I won't, but there are companies out there that get a bit of stick, and I've gave certain companies a bit of stick, but I know they've got good workshops and they've delivered good training because they have to. So yeah, I'm not going to name the name of the big one that I'm referring to, but I know there's a big one I'm referring to, and they get hammered because they have been sausage factory in it, but they have got good quality workshops, to be fair to them, and they will pump you out in a week. But I'm getting to this thing now, and I know I'm going to get some hate for this, but level 2 and level 3, you can go and do it in 3 weeks, I think, solid. You know, some people, you're better off doing that because really it don't mean fuck all. It's a dated, out of date, old dated course, and you're going to cut your teeth on site more. And that's my opinion changing recently, to be honest.
I guess when Mike's saying he's had no teaching at all over 2 years, whatever, in college, maybe you're better off going for 3 weeks where you're actually maybe going to get taught something, as bonkers as that sounds.
I get agency emails. So obviously I keep my ear to the ground. I quite like the environment I work in. So I know if there's a job going off around Nottingham, an agency will ring me up and I go, it's this job, isn't it? They go, how do you know that? I go, because I keep my ear to the ground. I like looking at the things. And with the training, I'm on all the agencies for all the trainers. They cannot get electrical trainers at the minute. That means they start scraping the barrel. That means, and unfortunately, and I'll say it because that's my bag, is some of the people that are teaching you how to be electricians are shit. They're there because they're shit and they can't do anything else. Some of them are great, and a lot of old boys have left the industry because of COVID. So the quality of training at the minute and the trainers is variable from one extreme to the other. So beware everyone who's taking this route.
Yeah, at my college, we had the tutor that I had. He said he was an electrical engineer, but I think he was a science and maths teacher in school. That's the vibe that I get from him. But the day version of my course, they had electrical engineer that's still going out on the tools on the regular. At the weekends, he's still going doing installs.
I would say that's exactly what you want, because that's what I do.
After he left the college.
Yeah, that's what you want. But there's, unfortunately as well, is, and just to cut into this a little bit, is if you can earn 35 grand as a sparker on the tools, probably getting home early some days, why would you go and work in a college for 31 grand a year teaching people, unless you're passionate about it? So that's why I'm here sat here now, because Mark don't pay me. Mark don't get paid. We do it because we want to up the game. But there's not many sparkers around like us that will go and do train for a pay cut. So you have to ask the question is, why are they there? Are they passionate, or are they just can't get a job anywhere else? Or I don't know. But until they up the money, they won't improve the training. But that's a completely different conversation, really.
Yeah, it needs a lot of attention, the whole training sector, certainly with funding. It's not just around the teaching either. I think it was Mike who discussed with me about the price of some of the books that apprentices and learners and retrainees are paying for as well, for the regs and the on-site guide, and getting those discounted. If anyone wants the regs for free to get used to reading the regs, Dubai wiring regulations are a word-for-word copy of the 18th edition. And if you email me, I'll send you one, because it's an open document. So if anyone out there is struggling to buy a regs book and they want to get used to reading it, that's free. There you go. Top tip from Jamie there. But it is, it's frustrating, isn't it? Because you see all of the money that's actually spent on training as been an electrician. It's, there's good money paid in for the apprenticeship system. There's people like Mike who are putting big money into taking the courses. You wonder quite where it all ends up sometimes. I don't know if it maybe gets spent in other areas of the colleges, or big management committees, as Jamie said, or whatever else.
Buffets at lunch.
Yeah, maybe. It's really annoying, because it could be a lot better without too many tweaks and changes, you'd think. Difficult one. But Mike, how are you going to tackle this in September now? I guess you're going to go back somewhere and get your level 3 on the way and closed out. You expecting to have that done in about a year's time-ish, do you reckon?
So it depends if I go to an FE college. I'm genuinely considering just going to a training provider, pay the £3,000 or whatever it is, £3,500, and they'll get you through it as quick as you're willing to do the work. And for me, somebody that'll put the hours in outside of work to do the learning, it'll probably work out quite well for me, as opposed to it being dragged out by an FE college.
7 months ago, I would have said that's a shit way of doing it, and now I'd recommend that for you. 7 months ago, I said, no, you can't fucking bang it out in 2 weeks. And now I'd say for you exactly that is what you need to do. Don't drag it out. You ain't got time here. Time's infinite, but we ain't got infinite time. Just smash it out. You might even find a job looking for other different trades where they don't even want it. They'll just take you on and go, yeah, if you want to come and work for us, you're keen, we'll give you some work. I don't know. Yeah. And that's not unlike me to not recommend people do training, but I think you could probably get your foot in the door somewhere just on your interest alone nowadays.
We all learn in different ways, don't we? I think sometimes doing it over a longer period of time helps you burn it into your memory better. I guess that's why these courses are structured over a few years. But, if you're not getting that, if that's not what's actually happening, then taking responsibility yourself for your training, if you know how fast you're absorbing that information and picking it up and learning it, doing it in as condensed period of time as you can, is only going to benefit you, I guess. So it's unique to your circumstances, Mike. If you feel confident that you can get all of that learning done and be competent in your training, go for it, mate.
How old are you, Mike?
33.
Fucking hell, you'll be dead soon. Get on with it. Just get smashed out. Yeah. I'm 40. Look at the state of me. You know what I mean? You've probably got 3 or 4 good years left. Just get it smashed out, mate. And I think this is a twist from what I would have said when I first started training. Like I say, just get it fucking smashed out. Start looking for jobs in something that maybe not be what you want, because once you're in the trade, you can move around the trade. It's like when you're single, you can't find a bird. But when you've got a bird, they're all flopping at you, if you're me, obviously. But if you're doing FM in a warehouse, just swapping light bulbs, no one knows what you're doing. So when you put it in your CV, I was in an FM role in a warehouse, they don't know who's a light bulb changer. Then you upgrade a little bit. Then you move around. It's called line on your CV, I think. I do it all the time. But yeah, get your foot in the door.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point, because a lot of the roles that are advertised, they want ECS card, some electrical qualification, if at all, a couple of years of experience of electrical work, not specific to what, unless they want somebody to chuck in containment, they might be specific, but
just lie, mate, because they're lying to you. They're lying to you. They're like, you want someone with a gold and black ECS card with 25 years experience, want to pay you £12 an hour. Well, fuck off. Basically, that's what you get at the minute. So if you could just get your foot in the door, like I say, FM's a good one to go for. I'll compile a list of these and give them to Mark to put up. But at the minute, you're a security guard, aren't you? That's all. I don't want to be rude. You're just a security guard when you walk into an interview. You're a security guard. Wow. And I want installers who can bang in a bundle of conduit a day. I'm not fucking interested. Whereas if it was an FM, I think, wow, how many hours are he doing at the minute? Oh, he's doing loads. Well, he'd probably like it here because we've got a canteen. He never has to leave site, and he's probably good at getting up in the morning. So he'll be all right on the shifts. He'll turn up. Yeah, give him a start with the lads. Whereas on an install site, all you want is good installers. Bang, 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 bang. Because the top end's so tight. I bet a big construction project works on 3%. So you need to bang in a bundle of conduit there to get to the chop. Whereas in a FM role, you sat there drinking tea, waiting for a light bulb to break or a lift to get stuck or sort to be sick on the carpet, but you're in the door and you can start looking for your next move as soon as you get in there.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Yeah, definitely.
Top tips. Is there anything you want to add, Mike, before we close this one out? I will put a link to your Instagram account in the description of this video. So if anyone wants to ask Mike any questions, I'm sure he'd be able to answer those for you as well. But anything you want to cover, mate?
No, not really. I was curious what you realised after the conversation with Big Ash about his training. Did we find out whether he needed to do an AM2 at the end of that, or did we not find out?
We did.
I was quite curious about that.
Craig enlightened us, and he said it's exactly the same as the 2365, and he will still need to do the AM2 as you will. There was no difference there between the two. Apparently they mirror each other exactly, but we'll get Craig to explain it in his own words because I'm probably mullering it.
that's why we got Craig here.
Yeah, I was gutted that Craig wasn't here. I was going to ask him some questions about the other environments of his colleges and stuff that he's taught at. A couple of questions about the way that my course was run, and if that's just the college cutting corners to get things done, or if that's just standard of the courses in the industry. But yeah,
get you back on another time, mate. When Craig's available. Yeah. Like I say, he's just started a new job, and he's absolutely flat out at the minute. He was up in Warrington yesterday. He lives down south for those who don't know. So he's pushed to the limit.
Don't sound like lives down south.
No, well he doesn't. We know where he started out. He originated from up in Scotland, and he migrated. Probably end up somewhere in the Southern Isles in the end.
Probably up in France.
Warrington's my neck of the woods. That's a fair old trek.
Yeah, God knows what he was doing up there, mate.
Good chat. Hiding.
Yeah,
get a new job, you're hiding so you can look at what's going on.
Probably that. But yeah, we'll get him. He'll be back on again. And if you want to jump on with us and have a chat anytime you like, mate, just let us know. Everybody's welcome to come and talk on here. So anytime you want to jump on the podcast,
maybe when I'm a bit further along, hopefully I'll be on site sooner rather than
next
later.
Week.
And maybe
be on site next week if you pull your finger out your arse.
Maybe I've got to wait for and print my card. They've approved it. I've just got to wait for and print it and then reach out. And
you're in the golden corridor. You're in the golden corridor. Manchester, Stockport, Liverpool, Warrington, all around there. There's fucking loads of jobs that you could get your finger in the door. Try food factories. Food factories are that desperate to get any sort of engineer in the door, they'll take on a fucking dog shit if it's got hands. Yeah. And once you're in there, you've got a job. Like, can you clean out the mince machine? Yeah, I'll fucking have a go. You know what I mean? Just get in the door, because once you're working in a trade, it's easier to get work in the trade. And I know your security is probably paying the bills, but food factories are absolutely desperate. It's shit work. And once you've done 6 months, you'll never do it again, but your foot's in the door and you know how to clean the bacon mixer and you'll never eat certain food products again, mate. But just try it. And I've got to keep drilling this into people on these podcasts that like electrical trade's massive. Yeah. Everyone's focusing on installation electricians. We can't all be installation electricians. To be honest, you don't want to be, because putting a bundle of conduit today is not fucking fun.
Topic in its own there, isn't it, mate? We'll cover that on another one where we can speak about all the various roles and how people can tackle entering into those. Maybe we'll get Sam on to come and talk about that, because he's another person like yourself, Jamie, huge experience.
Who?
Sam from Monday Club.
Never heard of it, mate.
It's his speciality, finding work, so we'll maybe get him to come and chat with us as well. Otherwise, anything either of you want to add before we end this one? I think we've gone on quite long enough for this one.
I'm going to say, I want to see students reviewing colleges in some TripAdvisor style format to help other students out. I want to see people. I'm a big moaner. That all my YouTube is me moaning, because all the great bits about the trade, I don't feel I need to do anything about them. I only moan about the bad bits. So if your college is shite, tell people it's shite. Then people won't go, and they'll either close down or put their ideas up. I know it's fucking ruthless, but it's a ruthless world. So if your college is bollocks, yeah, start shouting about it. If your college is great, start shouting about it. Help your fellow learners out, because otherwise nothing will change. They'll keep sausage factoring people through, and that's it. Don't believe the online reviews. Just community it, Instagram that. Don't go on TripAdvisor or what is it, Trustpilot and that. It's all made up bollocks. They pay for reviews in there, but start speaking as a community about it, because that's the only way you'll put your right. So go, I want to go to X college, and what does everyone think? Because until we start forcing these people out of the game, they'll still keep providing this shit training. I'm going to come up with some concept for that, because it's driving me mad.
Well, we'll look forward to reading that, listening and watching that. I'm sure it'll be full of swear words, mate.
Makes me mad. I only swear because people piss me off.
Yeah, well, it needs it sometimes, doesn't it? And like you say, there are some review sites out there, and Google reviews some of these colleges, but I know from running my business where you have reviews of what the work you've done, it's very much open at your control, if you like, rather than the actual consumers, which is not the way it should be, in my opinion. Otherwise, thank you both for taking the time out. It is Friday morning. I'm going to get this edited up and we'll try and get it out this evening. I appreciate it. And we'll be back soon to talk with other people and their experiences and all of the other issues around apprenticeship and retrainee learning. Hopefully Craig will turn up as well. And yeah, just cheers both. I'll drop links to your Instagram, Mike, in the description. Any of the stuff that Jamie's talked about in this podcast will be in there as well.
Jesus, be a long list.
Yeah, and we'll catch you on the next one. See you later.
You'll never do this in the morning again, will you, Mark, with the Senate chair? See ya.
See ya.